Mitch McConnell just dropped a bomb on Donald Trump, and this is a really bad sign. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. The Global Language Monitor might well name tariffs word of the year. Few words have dominated the news cycle more since Donald Trump's ignoble return to the White House. His tariff policy, which, he claims, will restore American manufacturing and not in any way raise prices for everyday Americans, began with 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada. Despite warnings by economists and reciprocal tariffs put in place by both nations, Trump assured Americans that his massive tax increase, and yes, tariffs are taxes paid by consumers, would bring about American prosperity. After 2 months of delays, Trump finally put his tariffs into effect and announced even more taxes on goods from all over the world. That includes Antarctica that is mostly inhabited by penguins. I'm sure the penguins are furious. Subsequent to Trump signing the tariffs into law, all hell broke loose. Take a look.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Hi, everyone. I'm Casey Hunt. Thanks for being with us in the arena on this Thursday as we are witnessing a market meltdown triggered by President Trump's historic trade war. Take a look. All three U.S. stock indexes hemorrhaging at the closing bell just moments ago. The Dow losing nearly 4% of its total value, down more than 1,600 points. The Nasdaq down nearly 6%. The S&P plunging nearly 5%. Wall Street responding to the unexpected scope and severity of President Trump's sweeping tariffs of at least 10% on all countries and up to 49% on dozens of nations that he deems to be the worst offenders. CNN's gauge of market fear, it looks like that. It's been off the charts all day as Trump upends a century of U.S. trade policy and threatens to destabilize America's economy and the world's.
Yes, all financial hell is breaking loose out there. I recommend calling your stockbrokers before they hurl themselves out of windows. And while you're at it, pour a stiff drink. At the time of this report, the market is down 1,600 points. That's the biggest drop since the COVID lockdowns of 2020, which, if you are keeping track, was presided over by Donald Trump. And people think he's an economic genius? The market lost $3.1 trillion in value in a single day, and that number is likely to go higher as our trading partners implement more and more reciprocal tariffs in the coming days. Layoffs have already begun. Whirlpool is laying off a third of its workforce in Iowa, a state that went for Trump in 2024. Stellantis is laying off 900 employees, and that's on top of a 205% spike in layoffs in the month of March. Like I said, pour a stiff drink, you're gonna need it. Amid all this chaos, the kind of economic panic that we haven't seen since the financial meltdown of 2008, there is a modest glimmer of hope. Hey, in moments as dark as this one, we need all the hope we can get. A bipartisan group of senators has come forward to rally the Congress to nullify Trump's tariffs and avert the trade war. Chief among them is an unlikely suspect, the cadaver of Mitch McConnell. We say cadaver because, have you seen the man? And because conventional wisdom says McConnell is politically dead, having given up his role as Senate Majority Leader. But he does still hold some sway with the party, and in a moment when Republicans are looking for an alternative to Trump's economic suicide, Mitch may have one last moment of leadership in him. Posting to Twitter earlier today, he said this: "As I have always warned, tariffs are bad policy and trade wars with our partners hurt working people most. Tariffs drive up the cost of goods and services. They are a tax on everyday working Americans. Preserving the long-term prosperity of American industry and workers requires working with our allies, not against them. With so much at stake globally, the last thing we need is to pick fights with the very friends with whom we should be working to protect against China's predatory and unfair trade practices. That includes what we do on trade." McConnell went on to say, quote, "At a time when Americans are tightening their belts, we would do well to avoid policies that heap on the pain. We ought to strengthen our friendships abroad and reinforce our allies as pillars of American prosperity and security," unquote. Well said, Mitch. Already that sentiment has spread throughout the Senate, which earlier today passed an override bill against Trump's tariffs. For Republicans, McConnell, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski all voted in favor of the measure. The bill did pass the Senate. That's the good news. The bad news? At the moment, it's non-binding and needs to pass the House. Thus far, Speaker Mike Johnson has shown himself cuckolded to Trump, so it's unlikely the Republican leadership in the House will back the bill. That said, with a slim majority of only 3 votes in the House, should Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats manage to pick off just 3 votes, a resolution could hypothetically pass. At that point, Trump would lose his tariff powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and Congress could roll back all his tariffs. What are the odds of that succeeding? At this point, it's not clear. But there is an opportunity for bipartisanship and to show leadership amid all the chaos. Let this be a message to every Republican lawmaker in the country. Your ass is already on the line. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Americans have been through enough inflation and layoffs and market volatility. You have the chance, you have the power to do something for the American people at a moment when they desperately need it. And if you don't, just remember the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Those were tariffs enacted by a Republican president in 1930. It only worsened the effects of the Great Depression and set off a global trade war. And for the record, Trump's tariffs are even higher. So Republicans, do you want to save the day by working with the Democrats? Or do you want to get wiped out for a generation? The world is watching. This is Occupy Democrats.